Good afternoon, folks. It's the 17th of September. I'm here in London Cemetery Park. Tower Hamlet Cemetery Park, I should say. I'm just taking a bit of a stroll, thinking about the situation with the data coming out on global climate change. It's really astonishing jump in the global August temperature versus a year ago. So it's a little bit depressing, really. What's weird about it is the most important country on all this, because they control a good portion of the world's purse strings, have a good portion of the world's banks, finance, is the lack of proper political debate in the US election. Come back to that debate between Trump and Harris. And Trump did not even bother trying to answer the final question of the debate, which was about what he was going to do to try and solve the problem. And so it's hugely depressing, and now there's all this evidence that really the Democrats and the Republicans, Tweedledee and Tweedledum of American governance, there's no real choice. The only way to get choice is for everyone, really, to require some sort of bidding war between those two political parties between now and November 4. If you don't bid to have strong climate policies globally, then you're not going to win office. It's the only time there's real leverage against the people who are running the US as a country into the ground as far as climate change is concerned, but also the world. It's so fragile, that thin layer at the top of the oceans and the thin layer of atmosphere around the globe. So I really hope that everyone cottons on to what's going on here. The control by interests associated with Israel and the fossil fuel and the military-industrial complex and the banks. This is a nice spot. Everyone needs to cotton on to what's happened over the last few decades. It's possible that, or even probable, that what the US has done is sign on to the Paris climate deal in 2015, pretend it was going to do stuff, but actually double down on its strategy to ride for free on everyone else's effort. So instead of actually deploying proper climate policy, it decided to massively expand fossil fuels. Massively expand. Now they're the biggest natural gas producer and oil producer. Well, they're the biggest oil producer, and I'm struggling to understand how China and India are not calling them out, because they have taken massive advantage of riding for free on the really bad Paris climate framework, which doesn't have any teeth. So instead of doing what they said they were going to do, they did the opposite and expand into dirtiness. They allowed the corporations of the US to get very rich over the last 9 years, partly on the back of just making huge profits and focusing on profits at the risk of the environment, while saying, on the other hand, to the Europeans, oh yeah, we'll sort of follow you. We're going to do what we're going to lead on. We are the leaders on climate action. it's not just you, Europe, but actually they didn't install proper governance standards. I tell you what, into their corporate culture. It's just hugely depressing. But anyhow, so what needs to happen over the next just a few weeks really is that somehow it needs to be made clear that only Trump, if he changes his way on climate, or only Harris, if she stops following Trump's anti-woke signalling, only if she starts going back to her strong support for climate action, and she's got to remain willing to stand up against the people who think fracking is the answer to everything. Fracking is not the answer. Anyway, very pleasant. I've got the police over there doing some work, or parking people, I'm not sure which. It's a lovely spot, this Tower Hamlets Cemetery Park, and hopefully it will still be around in decades to come, not scorched like much of the middle area of Earth will be, or India's already facing 40 degrees Celsius regular basis. Anyway, have a great rest of the day. Sorry to be not more uplifting.